Alright, so today many sports figures are giving back to the community, whether it's given to charities or coaching youth sport leagues. And these athletes themselves have transformed their sport into what we have today. And athletes such as Babe Ruth and Michael Jordan have set high standards for today's athletes. The athlete that I admire, that I'm going to talk about, is Muhammad Ali, who is also known as Cassius Clay, as his birth name. And today I'll be telling you about the beginning of Ali's career, how the Vietnam War affected him negatively, and where he is today. So to start out with, I will give you a brief background about where he came from and how he got started. And so, Muhammad Ali was born in Louisville, Kentucky, and was given the birth name of Cassius Clay Jr. on January 17, 1947. And it wasn't long before he started being interested in the sport of boxing at the early age of 12. And it was then that his bicycle was stolen out of his yard, and he reported it to an officer who he told that if he were to catch this thief, that he would beat him up. And the officer then replied, telling him that he better learn how to fight before he challenges anybody. And that officer was also a local boxing trainer for youth when he was off duty. And so Muhammad Ali took this advice, and this sparked his career of boxing. And so after training with this officer for a while, he accepted his first fight in 1954, in which he won by knockout, and he continued to go on to win the Golden Glove in the light heavyweight division in 1956. In 1960, Muhammad Ali was admitted to go to the Summer Olympics in Rome, Italy, to fight for the USA. There he won a gold medal, in which he was called the American hero, and in which he called himself the greatest of all time. But he was rudely awakened when he came back to the U.S., and he was refused service one night at an all-whites restaurant. And this caused him to be so angry that he actually went to the Ohio River and threw his gold medal off a bridge. And this kind of affected the way his fans treated him and how they looked at him because of his anger issues. And so, because of this, shortly after, he publicly announced that his Islamic religion and that he had joined a black Muslim group in which he was given the name Muhammad Ali from Cassius Clay. Now that y'all know a little bit about Muhammad Ali's background, I'll move on to how the Vietnam War negatively affected his career. So 2 years after he announced his Islamic religion, he was to be drafted into the U.S. military for the Vietnam War. But he states that because of his Islamic faith, that he could not be drafted because he couldn't fight for any service unless he was told to do so by his Allah or his Messiah. This sparked conflict throughout the states, and people were angry with him that they refused to fight. They refused to fight with him throughout the U.S., so he was forced to go abroad to accept any fights, and that was for most of 1966. Then in 1967, the official boxing committee, because of his refusal to serve, stripped him of his title and banned him from professional boxing for 3 years. During these 3 years, Muhammad Ali was also convicted of refusal to serve, and so he fought to appeal this conviction. During his fighting of his conviction, he traveled throughout the U.S. giving speeches mainly to college students and young adults about how to oppose the Vietnam War. And in 1970, his ban was lifted, and he was allowed to fight again, and shortly after, in 1971, the Supreme Court reversed his conviction and set him free. So now that you know the dark side of Muhammad Ali and his conflict that he had in his career, I'll tell you about his retirement and where he is today. And so, in 1981, Muhammad Ali finally retired for a second time and final time. And shortly after this, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, which has been eating at his brain and continues to eat at his brain, affecting his speech and his movement as well. But his wife faithfully sticks by his side, helping him the best that she can. And in 1996, he was given the honor of lighting the Olympic cauldron in Atlanta for the Summer Olympics, and there they gave him a replacement medal for his 1960 gold that he threw into the Ohio River. And he continues to travel and inspire young athletes and young adults with his accomplishments and conflicts that he's gone through. And he has a daughter, her name is Layla Ali, and she also follows in his steps, and she boxes as well, and has also made an impact. So, in conclusion, Muhammad Ali is known as one of the most inspirational athletes of all time, and all times, and he is looked upon as a role model to the youth and one of the greatest, just as he would call himself. And so Muhammad Ali will always and is a legend.